Hello, hello, hello.
Good evening, all.
Sorry for the delay. Me and Steve might have just been catching up, and yeah, that's what's taking us so long to get going. Welcome to Forge for Iron Extra Time. Slight delay on our headquarters show, supposed to be last night, but circumstances did not allow for a Monday night showing. As you can see, we are missing Andy. I do believe Andy is, shall we say, otherwise indisposed. He will be hopefully joining us for next week's show. Fingers crossed. Steve, How are you, my man?
Very good. Back from a lovely holiday. Thoroughly enjoyed myself.
How was Turkey?
Hot, really hot. I mean, I don't do the heat well, and it was sort of high 30s. 40s, so from sort of about midday till about 4 o'clock I was in an air-conditioned room reading a book, but but absolutely fantastic. I mean, we saw James off. You know, he's off to university in a couple of weeks,
hasn't he? Yeah, always going.
And I mean, I'm heartbroken by it, but I'm also delighted for him. You know, and Malika had a good time. She, gosh, I tell you what, you should see how brown she is. Good grief. She spent 2 weeks working on it, or 10 days working on her tan. And she is really, really brown now.
I burn. I go.
So do I.
T-shirt. I'm terrible.
Well, you know what? You've met my family, haven't you? I mean, obviously the kids are mixed race, wife's African, so of course they sit out in the sun and put factor 50 on and come in, and they are just deep brown. I go out in the sun, put factor 50 on, come in and bright red and going, ow, ow, ow. But no,
I'm not far off, mate. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm terrible.
We had a fabulous time. We went to Marmaris, and you know me, I'll chat to anybody, and through Google Translate and stuff, we got on really well with the waitresses there. The whole family did. And when we left, one of them gave me a book and said, look, I've enjoyed meeting you so much, and inscribed it. And I thought it was really lovely, actually.
That's a lovely touch.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it was brought a lump to my throat, I have to say. Really lovely young girl as well.
I'll reach out and make contacts and connect with people. I do.
Yeah.
I love all of that. That's what we do on here, to be fair. I mean,
it is, yeah.
We got Becca in the chat. Good evening, Bea. She says she always burns, even with factor 50. Join the club. We're both in that. Right, Steve, considering, well, it's international break, you know, news stories are light on the ground. I say light on the ground, they're practically non-existent. It's very, very slim picking, so I can't imagine that this video is going to go on for a huge amount of time. We're very aware England are, I think they just have kicked off against Scotland.
The old enemy.
International heritage friendly. I do friendly in bunny rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Or the simple fact is it is England, Scotland. I'll be honest, there's part of me right now that's kind of glad that we don't have any players involved in this kind of international break, because I think we've got a lot of games coming up, especially Saturday's a difficult game for us. We've got City, you know, Liverpool are in the works. I think Newcastle are also in the in the crosshairs coming up, and I'm very conscious that this game against Scotland could be one of those that, you know, let's kick the shit out of each other kind of deals. And
well, it's always been that way, hasn't it?
If we lose, let's say for instance we have Bowen in the squad. To lose Bowen would be a massive issue for us. So I'm kind of grateful that we don't have anyone involved. I mean, you know, number 41 is obviously he's starting tonight for England in the midfield, and I can imagine, you know, there's the entire Arsenal fan base that are very much out there going tonight. please, please, please leave him alone. Don't kick him. Don't do anything, because for 105 million quid, 4 games into the season, your marquee signing gets ruled out for 6 to 8 to the rest of the season. I mean, perfect example is Aaron Rodgers. You don't know, NFL player, quarterback, signed. I can't remember who he's playing for now, but he was at Jets, New York Jets. He's signed for, and he's made 4 plays in his debut for the New York Jets, and he's done his cruciate ligament. He's out for and that's their marquee signing, and the same for number 41 at Arsenal. I don't wish ill on anyone, and if he gets injured, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But the Arsenal fans must be sitting there praying. Man United fans with Rashford also out there as well. Praying, please don't get injured, please don't dive into any tackles, please don't do anything stupid. For the simple fact is, these international friendlies kind of concern me 2 ways. One, these players can pick up injuries and really, ruin your season for the best part. And the second part is England don't seem to give 2 shits about international friendlies. And what really frustrates me is we don't try. We don't look like we give 2 monkeys. We don't care. Especially at this stage of the season, you're 4 games in, and I'll cite the Ukraine game on Saturday. It didn't look like we cared. Players were more interested in not picking up an injury so they can go back to their clubs and continue, the main part of their career, if you will.
I didn't watch it. I've got no interest at all in the qualifiers, none whatsoever.
It's just annoying, I feel.
Yeah.
It's an irritating interruption to a very, fledgling season for me.
Well, fledgling season it is, but by all accounts, David Moyes said, I want us in the top 4 going into the international break. He did it, didn't he?
You know what? And again, there's still a lot of people out there in the Moyes out camp. Do I think Moyes is the right manager to take us forward? No. Am I going to sit here and go Moyes out? Nope.
No.
I've made my point. I don't think he's the right manager to take us forward. That being said, was he the right manager with the right tactics and the right lineup for the game against Chelsea? Yeah, he was. Can't deny that. 3-1. Was he the right manager with the right tactics for the game against Brighton away? Yeah, he was. We won 4-1.
Yeah.
Was he the right manager with the right tactics and the right lineup for the game against Luton away on the Friday? Yes.
Yeah.
We won 2-1.
I've got to be honest. I thought if we had 6 points after these 4 games, we'd have done really well. Buzzing.
6 points, Steve. Yeah, I mean, it's...
So 10, and I'm going to the City game and I'm looking at it thinking, no, now come on, City should win this. But then I stopped and thought about that. I thought, well, actually, I thought Chelsea had beat us. I was wrong. I thought Brighton had beat us. I was wrong. I think City will beat us. I could well be wrong again because...
I went to the final home game of the season a couple of years ago and we drew 2-2 with...
We were there, weren't we? A pair of us, yeah.
And it was crazy. It was absolutely ridiculous that
2-0 up at half time.
All right, don't get me, we had to save a penalty to maintain a 2-2 draw, but Christ almighty, I'm not being funny, with the right tactics, the right setup, you're telling me we can't get something out of the City game? If you tell me no, I'm not going to believe you. If you tell me yes, I'm still not going to believe you. But there's part of me that's going, there's a point for grabs.
Well,
out loud because I don't want to jinx fuck all, but there's a chance. Could we? Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what.
Right now, do you believe? I'll ask you. Let me ask you this question because it's how I'm feeling right now. Do you have this really kind of, I call it ridiculous, this kind of ridiculous feeling and belief that we can go up against City on Saturday and bring something out of that game. Just based off of the 4 games we've seen so far this season, the way we set up, our defensive performance after Agard got sent off against Chelsea, the way we went to Brighton and went, well, yeah, you go do. And for me, the proof in the pudding against Brighton was that Newcastle went there the following week and got absolutely trounced.
Do I
have this
you know what?
feeling of belief for the game?
In an odd way, and it's completely irrational, I think we could turn them over on Saturday.
Oh, Steve, tell me more, please. Go on.
I can't tell you why. I think right. Let's look at the 2 signings that have played so far. Alvarez, I'm almost in love. I think he is that good. James Ward-Prowse, I didn't want him because of his age and I didn't think he was that good. Well, how wrong was I?
Touch me inappropriately, Steve. I'm not going to lie to you. I would.
Yeah, I mean, they are James Ward-Prowse is superb. Then we've got what's his face, who also came from Ajax?
Mohamed Kudus.
Yeah, we've got Paqueta playing like a man possessed. You've got Bowen on form. You've got Mickey giving it a good go. We've got a really good back 4. Emerson, I liked him the first time I saw him and people weren't convinced.
Yeah.
I think Emerson is awesome. Be honest. Kufau in a defensive position at right back is a beast. Look, we're going to get even if City beat us, they're going to come out of that game knowing they've been in a really tough game. And that's all I want, really. I don't want us to roll over and have our tummies tickled. I want us to have a really good go. And I'm actually really looking forward to the game. I can't wait for Saturday. Oh, he's gone. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. I seem to have lost Duke somewhere. So now he's left me on my own.
No,
here he is.
Yeah, I managed to press backwards on my web browser without pressing backwards, which took me out of the studio.
Well, I actually apologise. I said, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I seem to have lost Duke, so I'll just carry on for a minute.
Well, what I was going to say was, I didn't want to do a peach and just bugger off and leave you.
Well, I tell you what, I know it's been a while, but I still miss him.
I tell you, I'm just going to flick the background over so we advertise both channels. Yeah, I do. I was talking to someone about him the other day. I don't want to get too emotional over it, but I do miss the guy. There are little things that crop up. I mean, I for those that don't know, I held off telling my son about Peach's passing. In fact, up until his recent anniversary, I hadn't told my son that Peach had passed.
Right.
And I finally kind of gave in and told my son that Peach had passed, and there were tears on both our parts. Logan absolutely adored Peach. Peach absolutely adored Logan. There's videos and stuff.
When I found out Peach had died, I don't mind admitting it, I was in bits.
Yeah,
I was absolutely. And I said to James, and James, as you know, isn't as involved in all this stuff as I am, but I told James, and James just sat there and his jaw dropped. He said, "What, Peach?" I said, "Yeah."
It was a heartbreaking moment. I remember waking up on a Friday morning to see my delivery into about 200 messages in a West Ham chat. I'd literally missed it by about 20 minutes, I believe. I think I got into bed the early hours of Friday morning at the time, and Happy Hammerette had dropped me a text message privately to say, Duke, are you awake? And I'd literally missed that text by about 20 minutes. And I'll be honest, West Ham YouTube hasn't been the same. He was one of the, and I can say hand on heart, and I've met a couple of hundred people via this Forge from Iron channel since I started it with Rob back in 2021. I've met a good couple of hundred, if not more, people. And Peach was up there in probably my top, I'd say my top 3. of people that I've actually met for a connection. Don't get me wrong, there are some fantastic people that I've met, but I just didn't have the connection with them like I had with Peach.
Yeah, I always wanted to get him over here to a game. He would have been.
Well, listen, I know for a fact that there are people that have had shirts with Peach's name on it. So Peach has been to games with us in our hearts, in our minds, on our backs. But you know, just I don't want to dwell on it.
No, I think we need to stop because both of us are going to end up in.
He was one of the best. Let's just leave it there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. When we came on, Steve, I said about news stories being very light on the ground, and they are. I mean, there's nothing. I'm currently.
Well, there's this Boeing to Liverpool thing, isn't there? Which I can't.
I'll tell you what. I wasn't going to bring it up because it's not on one of my top 5 stories. But as soon as you brought it up, I think it all hinges on obviously Mohamed Salah departing Liverpool, and the fact that obviously the Saudi transfer window came and went last Thursday, and I've got to take my hat off to Mohamed Salah. Before I touch on that, actually, I want to talk about the ignorance of some people that came in my pub last week.
Yeah.
Now, Mohamed Salah is obviously a Muslim. He that's his faith, and I have no problem with that.
None for.
When you've got a couple of gentlemen in my pub last week that were, and I will quote them, saying, of course he's going to go to Saudi, he's a Muslim. And I was like, what's that got to do with it? And he went, well, he's a Muslim. And I went, no, that's his faith. He's actually from Egypt. So he's actually from the African continent, although he is a practicing Muslim when it comes to his faith. Well, all the Muslims are from over there, aren't they?
No.
Mate, listen, he's from Egypt. He's actually from the African continent. His faith is Muslim. That's, you know, it's not a race. And they turn around and went, "Wow, it don't matter, does it?" No, it does. It does. Please, it's like me telling someone, I don't know, that they're from Norway, but I call them American because they're a practicing Christian. Do you know what I mean? You know, America has a large, they're ridiculously, when it comes to their religious faith in America, Christianity, you know, is huge out there.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm a Christian, doesn't make me American.
I'm telling you that you're American because you have Christian beliefs. And it was just ignorance of people in my pub, and I was just like, I can't even engage anymore. I don't want to. It's going to go badly for me. But no, I mean, going back to the whole Jarrod Bowen scenario, I give Mohamed Salah his due because he turned around and said it's not about money for me, you know, and I've got to give him credit there. He could have gone to Saudi Arabia and set not just his kids, grandkids, great-great-grandkids, and great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids. He probably could have set his bloodline up for the next 250 to 300 years if the planet lasts that long. His family line, his bloodline could have been set up on 1.5 million pound a week. He was offered to go play in Saudi Arabia.
Good. They could probably pay off Egypt's national debt by the end of it, couldn't they?
Yeah. And for me, the fact that he turned around and said no tells me that Mohamed Salah is about football and not about money. And I've got a lot of time for that. I'm not a Mo Salah fan. I think he throws himself to the floor too often. I think that, you know, there's a lot of you know, deceiving and the referee's deceptive football. But I will certainly take my hat off to Mo Salah for sticking around for footballing reasons at Liverpool. And off of that means that at the moment, Jarrod Bowen stays a West Ham player. Liverpool are interested in Jarrod Bowen for years. Good evening.
Oh, evening, Chris. I personally think he will stay anyway because he's based there, his missus is based there, that's his home. By all accounts, it's just his agents negotiating really hard. That's what Sean Weston came out and said. But if Liverpool get 200 million for Salah and they come in with 100 million for Bowen, we can't say no.
I wouldn't say no. And I know I'm probably going to get some grief for this once this goes out and other people see this elsewhere down the line. I'm probably going to get some grief for that comment. I wouldn't say no to that kind of money either for Jarrod Bowen. It's the same as if City came in again, and I'll come back to Paqueta in a moment because that's gone very quiet on the investigative front.
Yeah.
The fact that, you know, if Man City come in with £100 million for Paqueta, you can't say no to that sort of money, Steve. You can't. It's crazy. And we can't, and let's be honest, we can't command those kind of fees for players, you know, often. The fact that we possibly have 3 players in this, or had 3 players in the squad, still have 2 that could command those sort of figures from certain teams, that's amazing for us. So, we could say.
You see, the thing is, what would give me encouragement?
Chris says 150 million, and I think Dyer would drive him up there himself.
Yeah.
A fair shout.
But, you know, what would give me encouragement is we've spent the Declan money really well. We've actually spent less than we've had come in, and look at the quality of players we've got.
I'm about to say that since 41 left, I actually think we look more balanced. I think we look stronger for the fact that even if you, and again, and I will say this with no detriment to Thomas Souček. I don't mean it in a bad way. But when Declan Rice played and Thomas Souček played, Souček looked fucking awful.
Yeah, he's looked a lot better since, hasn't he?
Now we have Ward-Prowse, who's and let's break it down. You have Ward-Prowse that is the passer. You have
Edson Alvarez.
Yeah. You have Edson Alvarez, who is a fucking brick wall, and then you have Thomas Souček, who makes the late runs and causes a fucking nuisance in the box. Well,
yeah,
I'll tell you what, that looks better than having Declan Rice, Thomas Souček, and Lucas Paqueta as our midfield 3. I actually think we look better with Thomas Souček, Edson Alvarez, and James Ward-Prowse in the 3 with Paqueta roaming left-hand side or whatever.
Well, the thing is, defensively, I think Alvarez is better than Dec, but not going forward. Going forward, I think Ward-Prowse is better than Dec.
Well, you say that, and I will raise you on that one, Steve. And you say that you think Ward-Prowse is better than Dec going forward. I actually think Thomas Souček is better going forward and arriving late than Declan Rice. So yeah. I think James Ward-Prowse has a better delivery from set pieces. I also think his passing range is probably better than Dec's. So overall, I just think we look better, balanced, more balanced. We look, I don't know, just look. We look better. While losing our best player, we still look better. Chris says that Rice held us back last year. Chris, listen, I've said the Declan. I called it the Declan Rice experiment over on the main channel for months.
By the way, Chris, we've got to get you on the channel soon. I think you'd be great value for money.
Yes, I think you'd be fantastic. You'd have to come.
Oh, Chris, yeah, I know Chris quite well.
I'll tell you what. Let's go back to the Bowen thing. I think it's null and void. I think, listen, if we do well this season, obviously Bowen is entering the last year of his contract. I think next year is the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
18 months now left, and I think that we have to tie him up. I also think that
Excellent,
Yeah,
Chris.
season, good year this season. We do well in Europa League. We do well in the league itself. We continue this great form. I don't think he has a reason to leave.
I think we could win something again this season.
You do.
I do.
Oh,
I
Steve,
think.
you say all these things.
I think. I honestly think we can win the Europa League because we're better than we were last season. And the season we got to the semis, we're better than that team now.
Oh, significantly, and if you bear in mind that we hit January, and I still think we've probably got about 30 or 40 million pounds to spend, and if
And get the striker.
Outgoings of maybe the likes of Ings, if it's not working out, kind of Coventry, and we can bring in maybe an Ekitike. I really do agree with you. I think we're in a better place. I think we're stronger.
Look at it this way.
Exciting.
I've got no worries about relegation this season.
Oh, well, we're only 30 points. We've only got to get 30 points from 34 games. So I think we're all right.
We could squeak it.
let's talk about one name that's dominating West Ham headlines at the minute. David Moyes spoke about him, I believe, in yesterday's or today's press conference, or a press conference, or an interview.
Talk Sport News on this morning
about Jesse Lingard, Steve. West Ham are going to, according to the news a couple of hours ago, Give Me Sport have said that West Ham are going to expect to make a decision on whether to hand Jesse Lingard a contract by the end of this week. How do you feel about that?
Okay, let's break it down. Lingard has come back, and you have to say he has a humble pie to a point. Yep. Look at the prices of players. Look how much you're spending on players, and then you've got somebody. He's a quality player, Lingard. He really is. You get him on a free, on a contract that's performance-based. I'll bite your hand off for it. You got to let bygones be bygones. He made a bad decision. He admits it. He is working really hard. And he is a proven quality Premier League player. He had a bad season last season.
Well, he had a bad friendly against Ipswich, according to reports. He looks overweight, according to some news channels. He looks off the pace, according to others. I mean, he hasn't played a huge amount of competitive football in a year, so I would understand that. I mean, I have seen pictures of him in the training gear, and he does look. I mean, listen, I ain't one to talk. I'm a fat bastard, but he does.
Well, both of us are.
He does look a bit portly, you know, for what you want from a Premier League player. But again, he's working hard. He is working hard behind the scenes. I know that because I've spoken to people that have seen that. So it's interesting. Peter's just made a comment. Deadline day for the squad is tomorrow. That's true, Peter, but I believe we have until Monday for the European squad. So it could be that he's just going to be a European player, that they'll use him in Europe, and he won't be in the Premier League squad. I know that kind of sounds a bit detrimental, but then that's just what it is. I mean, listen, I agree with Chris. I'd re-sign him. I would do it. I think, like you say, 18 months on. Oh, he says the European squad has already been handed in. I
believe it. Yeah, actually, I think Peter's right.
Oh, I've misread the information then. It might have been last Monday or yesterday.
Look,
the squad.
Whatever you think about Jesse Lingard, we've just paid 28 million for Ward-Prowse, who is coming up for 29 in November.
There you go.
Jesse Lingard on a free, a year older. You get him even to 90% of what he was. You know, you've got to have him. You've got to.
I mean, listen, if he can recreate the form he did against Wolves and Villa when he was with us originally, then even a 2/3 of that, we're going to get a cracking player. So what's this here? Chris says we have a spare space in our squad, so FA won't say no to adding another player during the season, right? Because we've only registered 23, 22. Whatever the case may be, I think Lingard for me is a no-brainer. Lingard is an absolute, for me right now, it's a must. He gives us the extra adage of an English-born, English-trained, English-coached player, which for me would make absolute sense in Europe.
And the other thing is, he's going to want to prove a point to Forest, isn't he? I could do this. You just didn't give me the chance.
He's got that, and as Peter's just mentioned now, January we could be losing players for up to 6 weeks, 7 weeks,
and that's a good kudos.
So I think we lose a Gerd, we lose Kudus, we lose Benny.
Yeah.
Obviously, so that's Morocco, Algeria, and Ghana. If any of those make it to the final, that is 6 games that we're losing. 7 games we're losing those players for. So because obviously three group knockout, quarterfinal, semi-final, final. So 7 games that we could lose any of those 3, or even 2 of those 3. I think it's essential. If we're going to lose Benny, although Kudus, it doesn't matter. I was going to say, although Kudus can play left wing, we're going to lose Benny and Kudus. We're going to need someone that can come in and play that attacking role. So,
and he's got a winner's mentality.
He does. Yes, his final year was based around money and social media presence, shall we say. And I think he's better than that. I think he knows he's better than that. I think he wants to prove he's better than that.
And also, we need to get off his back. If somebody offered me 10 million quid for a year's work, I'd probably take it.
Mate, I wouldn't have even had a discussion with you. I would have just walked away.
Yeah.
You the matters.
Yeah, it's.
You would have found out I'd fucked off. Is you would have read about it in tomorrow's paper. I wouldn't have even told you. Your name was already deleted out of my phone, mate. If someone's offering me 10 million,
I mean, who wouldn't take it? You got to be realistic as well. It is a job,
and that's it. And for me, that's what it boils down to. As I said, news is very, very thin on the ground. So I'm gonna before we call it a day, in the next 5 or so minutes, Steve, I want to give you the next couple of questions just quickly.
Okay.
Let me just cover Eric's comment here, guys. You're talking great sense. When we last played really well, Lingard was in our team and he helped us qualify for Europe. And spot on, he was part of that team that helped us finish 6th and qualify for the Europa League the first time round when we got to the semi-final. So it makes sense to have him back. Question number 1 from Peter. It's not necessarily a question, but I want your thoughts on it, Steve. He says he's getting worried that Mbama isn't getting any game time. He's just sat there on the bench, kind of twiddling his thumbs and being a bit bored, I would suppose.
Europa League. That's where he'll be used to start off with. How Moyes does things is and we've got to remember there's been a lot of youngsters who we've been clambering for getting the first team, and they just haven't been good enough. I actually think Mbama is, but Moyes will ease him in gradually. He's not going to just chuck him in. He's only 18, isn't he? And so I think
he's doing. He's kind of holding off and waiting and getting ready to drop him in on Europa League games. I mean, we're playing.
I think so.
Apollo a week Thursday in our opening game. So do you reckon that's what he's going to do?
I hope so, yeah. But he's going to ease him in.
Topola?
Pardon?
Would you start him against Topola next week?
No, I think you've got to ease him in gradually.
I think they're the weakest team in our group. So would you start him and then bring Antonio off the bench?
Yeah, maybe actually. But then if they're the weakest team, why play Antonio at all? Protect Antonio.
Yeah, I was going to say, as Eric's just said, I was about to, Becca said 1-0, and then Eric's come up with Phil Foden has just put England in front. Apparently, it's been coming. England have been knocking. It's a goal made at Manchester City. Walker joins the attack down the right, pings across into the cross shot into the 6-yard box, and Foden reacts so quickly to divert the effort into the net. Skilled finish, but just his second goal in his last 23 England games. So
amazing. I think I'm amazed he scored so few. I think Phil Foden's brilliant himself.
I rate him so highly. It's painful. I understand why Cole Palmer left Manchester City when you're looking at what's in front of you.
Yeah.
The likes of Foden now, they've just gone out and bought Jeremy Doku, haven't they, as well? So, as Cole Palmer, I'd be going, yeah, right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Would have liked to see him come to us. That's neither here nor there. Yeah, I mean, 1-0 England. I'll take that. Peter's got a comment, a question here then.
2-0, I believe.
Oh, Becca's in there straight away. Look, she's hanging around. Jude Bellingham with the second. Go on. What a signing that is, by the way, for Real Madrid. He's going to be huge.
Yeah. Gio is going to be very unhappy at this. 2-0 down.
Hey, listen, I do love Gio. But,
he's great.
I can't tell him. I can't say that I want that to interfere with England winning. Peter says, and we'll make this the last thing, Steve, because I'm looking at cameras and possibly starting to get a little bit busier downstairs, as I mentioned earlier. Peter wants to know, how do you think Moyes will deal with Kudus? Do you think he will give him the start on Saturday?
Not against City. No, I don't. He'll play with Jarrod Bowen. When he got Jarrod Bowen in the side, he played him in the lesser games first.
Yeah.
To build his confidence. I think we throw Kudus straight in. That's a baptism of fire. I mean, I know Pellegrini did it with Ben Johnson at left back, but I think you'll see Kudus come on, but I don't think he'll start him. That's just my opinion on it.
Just a quick update on that game then. So this is a shocker from Robertson. Foden fires in across, looking for Kane. Robertson seems to have it covered, but for some reason he decides to pass it across his box and finds Bellingham, who can't believe his luck. A simple finish. Well, I'll take that all day long.
Yeah.
Just to go back to what you just said there, Steve, I personally, and again, my opinion, and I'm not saying anything to take away from what you've just said, and you make a very good, valid point. What I will say is I think you're wrong. I think Kudus will start on the left, Bowen on the right. And the reason I think Kudus will start on the left is he has some real pace. He is very quick. I'm not saying he is, kind of Haaland, Rashford, rapid, but he's quick. And from what I've seen, his stamina and his work rate is very high. It's second to none to a certain degree, and I can see him being there to help Emerson on the left hand side. Not necessarily overly defensively, but he has the pace to be able to get back to give Emerson that support in the same way that Bowen has the work rate to get up and down that right to support Soufal.
Yeah,
I think we can see Ben. Listen, I've said it before. I don't think Benny has the defensive ability to be able to support Emerson or Cresswell when Cresswell was playing out there. So I just think you
may well be right.
With him, I think he might be able to be there to help him out. So I'm not saying you're going to be wrong. I'm just saying I think in my opinion, you might be, and I think we will see him start.
I hope so. I mean, I'd love to see him play. You know, and there's a bit of me that likes to see Mavropanos play as well because he's rapid.
Well, you say that, mate, right? And I was having a conversation with someone in the pub, West Ham fan, and we had a discussion about whether we go to a back three on Saturday to combat the likes of Haaland, bring Mavropanos on the right, Zuma central, and Aguerd left of a back three with, they said Fornals at right wing back, which I wasn't so against, I'll be honest.
No, I'm not actually.
And Emerson on the other side, dropping Souček out of the middle and having Ward-Prowse and Alvarez in there, and then using Kudus, Paqueta, and Antonio. Sorry, Owen, and not having Antonio in the squad, or not in the starting lineup at least. And I was like, I see where you're coming from, and I'm kind of excited by it.
I tell you what, if we try and play football against City, we will get stuffed.
Yeah, agreed.
Exactly. You saw it with Pellegrini. He went out and he tried to go toe-to-toe with them. 4 goals later, City were walking away with all 3 points comfortably. So,
I mean, we have to do what we do and not what they do. If we can do what we do, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the game. I mean, the Chelsea game was one of the most exciting I've seen in a long while, and that might seem strange.
I didn't necessarily enjoy the Brighton game because it was kind of the style of football it was. I enjoyed the result and I enjoyed the fact that we scored 4, but it was very uncomfortable at points. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like a chore to watch, but we still got the win, so it kind of took the edge off of of that. You know?
Yeah, it's very different when you watch it live.
Yeah.
Than when you watch it on telly.
Yeah, without a doubt. Eric actually says here the Man City game's a free hit. There's no pressure on this match. If Kudus starts, great. If not, oh well, okay as well. You know, and I do intend to agree with him. I tell you what, 45 minutes, Steve, sounds a good number to me. Anything else you want to add before we call it a day?
No, nothing at all. Just I'm really looking forward to the game on Saturday, and I fancy us to get something out of it.
Yep, I think I'm in agreement with you there. My last bit is I just want to give a couple of shout outs. 1, 2, Lewisham Borough Community Football Club. They're obviously very local to my pub, as you guys know. They've started the season quite well. They've won 1-2, drawn 1. Lost 1. They actually had the Catford Classico the other evening where they played Forest Hill. They won 2-1 with an 87th minute winner, which was really good. And they actually had their highest attendance ever with 190 people. I was one of them. They're doing a really good thing where they're offering season tickets for whatever you can afford, which I think is fantastic. It starts at £6. It does start at £6. I think the minimum you can pay is £6, which is the cost of one game. I paid £6 to go watch them play against Catford. In the Catford Classico against Forest Hill. And they're offering, pay what you can. So you can pay £6 and go watch the rest of the games for free this season, if you will.
That's great.
I think it's fantastic for being able to support your local community football club. For me, it's really good to have one quite on my doorstep. Midweek games, if West Ham are not on telly or I'm not having to work, I can go and support these guys. And another shout out will go to my brother. I don't think he watches this, but I don't care. I'm going to give him a shout out anyway. He was announced as the new manager of Long Lane JFC. just up the road here from me again, at the start of the season. They've played 4 games. They've won 4. They've scored 19 goals and conceded 3.
Good grief.
Games so far. They won 8-1 in their first game, 2-1 in their second game, 5-1. Oh, they've actually conceded 4 goals. No, 8-0 was their first game. 8-0, 2-1, 5-1, and they won at the weekend 3-1. Very hard fought game.
Yeah.
Against Langley in the weather. Langley did have a man sent off, so it kind of made it a lot harder for them. But it was, I've got to give props to my brother. He's playing some really good stuff up there, and I certainly take my hat off to him. So if anyone, just keep an eye out for their scores, or you know what I mean, just and tell him that we sent you. That's enough, I think. What I will say is we've broadcast across both channels today, both Forge from Iron and Forge from Iron Extra Time. So whichever one you're on, please jump over and give a like on the stream. If you've not subscribed to the other channel, please do so as well. Hopefully we'll be back for a preview for the Man City game, but if not the end of the world. You will definitely see us next Monday for the headquarters show again.
Yeah, indeed.
Hopefully Andy will return with us on that one as well. As always, share these with other West Ham fans. Let them know what we're doing here. And we will see you again very, very soon. Steve, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Duke. Yeah, great as always.
We shall see you at some point a little bit further down the line. Chris, thank you for joining us. Eric,
thank you, Chris.
Eric, Peter, Becca, you as well. Becca says she'll probably miss the match Saturday because of her birthday celebrations. It's her birthday coming up, so wish you happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Becca.
Sneak that one in. Trudge has turned up just as we're calling it a day, but good evening, Trudge. Please go back and watch it. It's 45 minutes of just me and Steve talking shit. Thank you all. Take care.
True.
Take care and good night.
Good night all.